up, guys? I am Viral Vinnie, and EA E3 conference just ended. And as we would do, let's discuss it all, because what better thing to I don't live tweet during anything besides E3. At Viral Vinnie, you want to follow my live tweets, even though I tweeted like one thing I think during that whole conference. I just retweeted a whole bunch of people, but all that's on Saturday. EA was first one up, starting on a Saturday, because again, E3 means nothing now. E3's just forever. It's just E3 just whenever people want it. But yeah, so first off was EA, and side tangent before we get into even all that. Let's sit down, we can relax. This is more, I know I am not a news anchor. I am not a news site. I'm not a personality. You're watching this. You want to hear from my opinion. Am I self-centered? Yes, absolutely, 100%. But again, this is more so my reaction to the conference than how was the conference itself. Because spoiler alert: sports, Call of Duty, or sports, Battlefront, Need for Speed, Star Wars. That was it. Like I was like, But there are still plenty to talk about, plenty of things I found interesting. Before we get into all that, I just shout out to IGN and Twitter and all that. They did that new live thing where you can watch they had the IGN stream on the Twitter thing itself, because I tried watching the kind of funny feed. That just messed up. Wouldn't load. I was having trouble, so I watched like maybe 94% of it on that little thing. Obviously, it caused Twitter to run a little bit slow, but besides that, like, it was still, I was impressed how responsive and fast it was, and like how in many ways it felt like better quality than Twitch. I'm sure like some nut job's gonna tell me, oh, Twitch outports the yada yada, but shout out to them. I think it worked. I know they said they were like gonna do that, but it's like it actually works fairly well. Like, hopefully I'll watch the rest on Twitch with actual commentators and whatnot. But for a quick of the spur moment, like, that worked surprisingly well. I got the full conference. I was maybe a couple seconds behind. That's probably just a Twitter thing, but all that's still fine. But let's get into the nitty gritty and talk about Madden. Yay. No, again, Madden, just nothing important. Just, hey, there's a new Madden, pick it up. The only thing really of note is they have a story mode, which is apparently the first for the Madden franchise. I think NBA was the first one, I believe, who did it with Michael B. Jordan, and then apparently there was a soccer one, and now it's in Madden, which I do appreciate as someone. Again, the big thing for me is not being a sports fan. Like, I don't care about the character rosters. I don't care about, oh, you can now spiral punt the ball. For me, it's just like, I miss old school arcadey sports games, where it's like something simple like virtual tennis, I believe it is. Like, you just hit the ball off the wall, and there's like, or you play bowling with the tennis or whatever. I like those fun little mini games where it's like you can practice it, but it's still kind of fun. A lot of sports games are very serious. Like, if you're not a sports fan, there's really nothing there for you to do. So like, I believe it was NHL 2001 or something. One of them, like, you can drive a Zamboni. I just like little stuff like that. Don't give me a whole bunch of like extra. Like, the story mode is nice and all that, but like, for me, I'm gonna play the story mode for about 5 minutes or for a couple hours, and then that's it. Like, I'm not gonna touch it. So definitely a nice gesture, nice step in the right direction, but nothing really noteworthy and shocking. And speaking of nothing noteworthy, they're just, yay, more Battlefield 1. We're still working on that, even though it's, excuse me, we're close to, 6, 7, 8 months later, and we're still doing DLC. We got Star Wars coming out, and we're still just slowly chugging away with that game, where it's just like, I don't think anyone cares anymore. Sorry, I'm really stuffy out of nowhere. Like, the second I start recording, that's when I get all stuffy and congested. But yeah, so just Battlefield 1, stuff's happening. If you enjoy the game, good for you. And then they went to FIFA, and they talked about some FIFA Championship, and then they did a mini blurb about how much esports they're doing and how they're trying to support esports, blah, blah, blah. They had some comedy group called Men in Blazers or whoever come in and talk just about why FIFA's great, again, I don't care about sports. I don't care about soccer. So this whole thing was just like, but then they also said that yes, story mode is coming back to FIFA as well, but it is going to be a direct sequel somehow. I don't understand. They're just saying like, Alex Hunter is coming back, like the character from the first game, where it's just like, okay, cool. Again, I fully admit these to sports fans probably a big deal. To me, I could give two shits. And then same with Need for Speed. I didn't really see anything that revolutionary. It looks gorgeous. It looks amazing. It's got great action. A lot of people compare it to Fast and the Furious. Um, but yeah, besides that, it's just I really didn't see anything that much of a shakeup. Just another Need for Speed or another car racing story game. Which again, not a car person, so is what it is. Uh, but the one game that did get me excited was they started talking about their EA Original program, and that's where Unraveled and Yarny came from, and then how they want to do more like small tier like unique un-EA games. And then they talked about A Way Out. Basically, it's from the people who did Brothers, the the it's very weird to describe because it's not co-op, but the game where you play as the two brothers and each one's controlled by a different joystick, and you have to so it's like a one-player co-op game. It's very weird. I definitely would check it out. And now, so for the sequel to that, staying in that kind of co-op vein, they're doing this basically story Uncharted. It's very cinematic, very action heavy. It doesn't look it's just you two prisoners escaping from prison. And at first I was like, oh, this actually looks pretty cool. It's visually well looking. The storytelling's pretty cool. They talks about how even if you play online, there will always be the split screen, so you can see what your partner's doing. Some people were bitching about this, saying like, oh, I'm online, why do I gotta see what my buddy's doing? If they can incorporate it into a way like kind of like 24 or something to that effect, where you like like you can see multiple angles or like different stuff in the environment, like you see someone pass a guard, that would be really cool. But yeah, if it's literally just like split screen and you like are standing right next to each other, it's kind of dumb and redundant to have one screen. Maybe something along the line of the Lego games where they have that split screen that like kind of moves around like the screen depending on where you guys are positioned into each other, and then merges when you're in proximity together. Yeah, and then the last one was and it looks great, it looks awesome, and then of course they got me because one of the main characters is called Vincent. I think he's the guy who knows how to escape. He's a hot shot, and I was like, all right, cool, they got me. Great story, Uncharted ripoff, and his main character's named Vincent. I legally have to play this game. Like, I will be hunted down and murdered if I do not play this game. But it's definitely great. I really want to see more, so hopefully, I don't think they set a date, but I'm definitely looking forward to that. They follow that with BioWare teaser, and teaser in the smallest sense because it was like 5 seconds. It's like the wall keeps it safe, and then there's a mech suit, and then boom, something called Anthem. That's it, and that's honestly it. And then they talked about NBA Live. That was a bit. There's a new NBA. They also talked about their EA Origins and notes all over the place. For NBA Live, the only thing is there's a free demo coming out in August that will let you carry your stuff over to the full game. There's a little RPG elements depending on like how you play, and there's different stuff like that. And I do like that there's an emphasis on not only playing in like Stadium Coliseum like NBA stuff, but also NBA Streets. And depending like on your balance on the two and like how much you play one arena or another or where and yada yada, it actually does affect your character. Oh, that's cool. Oh, that sounds interesting. Again, give two fucks about sports. Give me Rocket League. That's my only sport. After that, they just talked briefly about their charity work, yada yada. EA Origins and EA Access are free for the week, so yay. Again, it's like, they even said like, oh yeah, you can't keep the games; they're only just free for the week. And then the big one was Star Wars Battlefront 2, and they had I don't know, she's probably some famous actress. I've never heard of her, but it was some super intense actress chick who came out like, I am here to represent Battlefront 2. It is an experience. And I was like, calm down, lady. This is E3. We're not. This is not Guantanamo Bay. You don't have to. You're part of the Empire. We get it. Yeah, yeah. Just like chill out. And she did relax. She did become a little more friendly, more sociable, and it just talks about how the yada yada. We've known this before. The story takes place after episode 6. It is considered canon. There's going to be couch co-op, which I don't think was in the last one. Or I know it was just for the one mode. I think they. So hopefully that means for this one the whole game, not just. I think it was the survival mode just had co-op. You blah blah blah. And then they just keep going like, oh, it's got more levels, more characters, more upgrades, more visuals, more this, more that. Like, yeah, we get it. It's a sequel. And then they also briefly talked about their Game Changer program, which got YouTubes and different personalities and yada yada to go and actually play the game and then help influence how the game handles and controls and all that. So it's not just the internal dev studios anymore. It's actual fans and people who appreciate the game are working on the game, which is a nice gesture. It's like an empty gesture, but it's still a nice one all the same. And then they also talked about how classes are back and the guns themselves have been rebalanced, so even if you played Battlefront 1, it'll be very different. They also talked about how in the last game you had battle points, and instead of the tokens, where like you had to pick up the Dark Vader token or the AT-AT token or whatever in the other game, this one basically you build up points, and then you can choose to play like as a hero or as a vehicle or even as a droid or a stormtrooper or some extra thing like so it's not just one token you pick up. You can choose how you want to spend your points better and be a little more strategic in that regard, which is a nice upgrade. It looks really good, visually just beautiful, jaw dropping. Like I'll give it that. That's the frostbite engine working for you. Um, uh, basically, then they talked more into nitty gritty about the game. It was just like, looks great, looks awesome, but this is basically all the stuff that should have been in the first game, where it just makes, by looking at how good this game is, it makes the first game look like so bare bones and so basic. Like, what were you doing? Like, that game had nothing to it at launch. The DLC did not add that much. So it's just like, this is what the first game should have been. And it's one of those situations where, yes, development's hard, yada yada, but it more seems like they just cut stuff out of the first game, as opposed to that was what they wanted to do, but they ran out of time. It just honestly seems like they did a quick. And again, because they're bouncing between Battlefront and Battlefield, so it very much feels like, alright, cool, we'll just do a crappy first one here, and then we'll do a better one in the sequel, because people will buy it. Which is very EA. And then they also just briefly talked about how DLC is going to be free. There's some confusion about how much and what parts and yada yada. But they also said they're like For Honor and Destiny and everything else, you're gonna have seasons. So, and they said the first season is gonna be on Force Awakens with Finn and Captain Phasma and whatnot, and all the levels will be based off of Force Awakens, and then they'll do season 2, which will be probably more prequel stuff and yada yada. And then just briefly talked about showed how you can do simultaneous air and air and ground force support. Because the other one, it was very minimal. It was just like you picked up the token, but then somebody else picked the token, and there was just like 2 of you flying in the sky. It was very empty. This one, there was like a whole armada in the sky. It was really great. It was really epic. And then they also talked about the different classes and how they function compared to the last game. That, like, for example, the sniper class can lay traps and trip mines and whatnot to keep people away from them while they're trying to make their shot. And then the last thing they also talked about was cross-generation. So anyone can play on any map. So you can have Finn fighting Darth Maul or Yoda fighting Kylo Ren, and so basically any hero on any map. It's not level specific. I guess you just use your hero points to buy a character you like, and then that would become your default. And then the last thing was they did a really long extended gameplay match, which was fine, but it was a little boring. And then they ended it of whole weird things on a Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes ad, just pimping the game. And that was it. Yeah, it was a lot of. So again, like if we boil it down, again, sports, 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 sports. A Way Out, Need for Speed, Battlefront, and Star Wars. So 2 games I really care about. And even Star Wars, I'm not the hugest fan. I just think it's alright. It's decent. This is absolutely a blast. This is I like this. People are gonna love this game. This game's gonna be awesome. It's just I'm not a big Star Wars fan, so right now I'm touring between like, do I buy this as opposed to another game or what? Because with Red Dead gone, my fall's kind of empty now. So I'm just like, do I buy let's say God of War or Star Wars Battlefront? That's where I am right now. But it looks good. It's definitely the game I'm most excited for from EA. But yeah, like it does go to show that just like a lot of people pick on EA because they're like, oh, they're corporate, they don't care, they're just in it for the money, and they are, and it's just they're definitely trying, and I'll give them that. It's not the most like they're definitely doing it just for profits, but they're also like, all right, well, how can we make people happy while also trying to make the most money we can? So yeah, it's basically EA in a nutshell. It's the same EA we've seen 100,000 times. But yeah, so that was my quick, long-breathed, ranty reaction to that all. And I believe tonight is Bethesda, and then yes, so as always, I will be Twitter. You can follow me at ViralVinnie if you want to see my live tweets. I'll be in the kind of funny games Twitch chat. Even though, like I said, it glitched out. And yeah, hopefully you are enjoying your E3, and if you are future people, you're enjoying your future toast.